you'll talk to us about relationships, and then we'll see if there's any questions. Did you meet the lovely Priya?
Yeah. Hi, Lucie.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Let's have a nice time together.
Yes, the lovely Lucie Haskova. Thank you so much for joining us for Spectra Mind, this creation of VJs, and we're playing with it together in July. And so happy to have magical creators like you on the line. From the Czech Republic, she has been working with Access for a few years now and really growing, helping the growth of more consciousness in the Czech Republic in an extraordinary way. So, and a businesswoman and all kinds of topics, and a relationship lady. Welcome, Ms. Lucie.
Yes. Thank you, Cass. Thank you so much. And today, I think the connection between me and you was just going on these days because I felt so much gratitude for who you are and how much you meant in my life since I met you 2 years ago. And even now we are doing our first life foundation, and I feel that you were at the beginning of everything here in Czech Republic with us. So I'm so happy that you called me and you said, could you please talk on some topic with people? And so I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and we'll call you again too, and hopefully we'll have the world to meet you, because the world needs to meet you. Yes.
And you have to blame someone, so I'm blaming Cass that I'm here now. Because I met her, and since that time we created so much together. And so thank you so much, and welcome everyone. And when Cass asked me what can we talk about, either business or relationship, we can easily talk about anything, but a relationship, I must say that I always struggled with that part of my life, maybe till I was 40. And then something changed. And since I'm doing Access and I'm using the tools and I'm really using them, I think this is the area of my life where I have changed dynamically, and things around me changed. People around me are changing dynamically, even though I don't ask them to change. And this was something so new for me. I always thought that someone outside of me has to change so that I can be happy. And since I'm doing Access, I found out that I am the one who is creating that. And not only that I am the one who created the shit in my life, but I am the one who can choose what works for me. And with the partnership, usually you choose what works for you and for the both of you, but the other one does not know that. And I have a story for the beginning that I always say at the classes, because I brought up in a family when my father was an artist. And so he did not care much about kids and money and all that stuff. And my mother did everything. And so I did not even realize how much the point of view that I took from my mother created really 40 years of my life with my partner, with people around me. Because my mother, she thought that you have to take care of you. Nobody will ever take care of you, because men are good for nothing. They are just good to amuse with them sometimes, and sometimes not even that. And can you imagine the whole of my life? And I really remember many stuff from my life from that time. The whole of my life, and I never met a man who would care for a family or for the wife. I didn't even have people in the neighbor, not even the friends or husbands or partners of my friends. I was going through the life, and I was like, I had those, clips, and everyone who did not care for the family, everyone who did not care for the wife, I was seeing them. And I thought there is not a man who would be different. And it's really, I can't understand how is that possible that I have not seen that. And this is the point of view that created my life, that created what I see in my life. And so how many points of view about what is a man, who is him, how he is, do we have that influence what we see outside of us? And if we would change it, that would mean that we could see a different world around. And really at the age of 40, I realized, and this is the good thing, because once you look at something and you realize that, you have the power to change it. You can change it then if you see it. If you refuse to see that, or if you just don't pay attention about what's going on in your life, you cannot change it. And so I was almost 40 when I saw, oh my gosh, I am a woman and I do everything myself. Maybe that's why I'm a good businesswoman, because I always had to take care of myself, And I realized the life I'm living. And I realized that I'm living the life of my mother and that it does not work for me. How many of you are living the lives of people that you met in your life, your parents, grandparents, friends that you are close to, that don't work for you? And also, what I always say at the classes, if you want to learn from somebody, if you want to pick up the thought from somebody, please look first if he is living the life you would like to live. I only listen to people who live what I would love to live. Do your parents live the life, or did your parents live the life that you would like to live? Is that exactly what you want? If not, then let's look what you can do. And it's funny because I have a sister and she lived in the same family. And so it's really nice to see how the points of view of my mother and the relationship they had together with my father influenced me, that I was, I just was doing everything myself. And I was meeting men who liked that I'm doing things for them. But my sister was different. She had the same points of view, but she decided I'm going to marry a rich man so that I will not be as my mother. And in a way, she married a rich man. And I don't know how it happened, but he became poor. And now she has to do everything herself anyway. So even if you go this way or you go that way, it finishes the same, unless you change something with you, and unless you change your points of view. So how many points of view do you have about men? And how many points of view that you have about men limit what you can see and what you can choose in your life. So this is really, it was my past, and I'm telling myself, I always had a struggle. I was divorced twice, and I always had wonderful men, but they didn't care for me, and they didn't, support me or whatever. I did everything myself, and then it changed. And I must say, even now with the access tools, I have now a partner for 10 years. And I did so much change with my partner and in the relationship since I started to use the access tools. So I would like to share some knowing with you from what helped me, what access tool really helped me to get where I am. And definitely, please be free to ask questions, because if you ask questions about your life, about what's going on in your life, it's always the energy that I can, we can then play with it and we can find the tools together. So anytime you wish to ask something or say something, please don't hesitate. Stop me. And you also, Cass, please stop me if I talk too much.
Totally don't talk too much. It's just interesting when we met also. I actually met one of her ex-husbands. I really liked him too. And I've met her current partner too in Rome. And also like your determination to make the relationship work and to be willing to give up everything to make it work, and then not having to give it up. Because once you're willing and able to give up anything, then you can actually have everything. And so just different approaches, different when we're not in resistance to something, right? How that really does allow us to actually have access to more.
Yeah, right. You are so right. And yes, I remember because she met I didn't know that he was at the same hotel where Cass was doing her classes. So it was really funny. It was funny. Yeah. So definitely I used my relationships for me to, I wanted that someone gives me the value, because I had no value in me. So all of my life I was looking for someone who will say, yes, you are good, you're fine, you are perfect, I love you as you are. And unfortunately it never happened. It never, if you are waiting for that, and if you start your relationship, and don't talk about the relationship only with the partner, and with all the relationships like family, friends, if you do relationship for getting something out of it, that they will see the value that you are not seeing in you, it will not happen. You will wait the whole of your life. And it's a pity, because you really can create a wonderful relationships. You can have a wonderful time with different people that you might say, now I don't really like to be next to them, or I don't feel like going out with them, or whoever, just if you change your points of view. And for me, the most, and this is what I would like to advise, and you have heard it many times already, the first and the biggest for me is no judgment of any kind. No judgment of anyone and me and my partner. Because what I realized is that if you judge someone, and sometimes we don't even say we judge him, because we say, I would like him so that he is different. I would like so that he changes. I would like that he is going to be like this and not like that. And every time you wish someone changes, you are judging who he is. And at the moment when you judge, he cannot change. You stop him from being who he is. And you know the stories that somebody has a partner and then they divorce, and the partner finds someone else, and in that relationship he's completely different. That is the case, because my second husband, he didn't earn money when we were together, and now he has got a relationship where he is earning the money, and his wife is home and he's taking care of her. But with me it was not possible, because I had those points of view that I have to supply everything, and I was judging him for that he was not what I wanted him to be, and he could not change when he was with me. So for me, judgment, the first thing to start, never judge anyone, because as soon as you judge, you stop the change which is possible. So allowance, Kas, would you like to say something?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, PJ.
I would like to ask something. So, me and my husband, when we got married, it was very different. I mean, he was a biker, he still is. It was a lot of fun, all of that. as soon as the baby came, you know, things started changing because my life started getting changed, right? Expectation started. That expectation that he has to do certain things for the baby. Um, that is one part. And another thing which also started was sort of fear of losing him. And like he travels a lot. Okay, he before the lockdown, like every month he would be traveling, and I will be watching the flight timing, that when he's landing.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions, because
And
you're very, yeah.
one more thing here. Uh, I lost my father a couple of years back. Sorry. I lost my father a couple of years back, so it just keeps on, coming back. That what if I lose him?
Mhm.
Something like that.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I totally get where you are with that you don't want to lose anyone. I had that in my life as well, and unfortunately, those people were not willing to go away because sometimes, you say, when you think you are afraid you lose someone, so it happens. It is not the truth. The being always decides if he wants to go away or not. So you don't influence the being. Don't worry about that fear. But what helped me a lot, and this is just the way you do it. It's like, do you know the access clearing statement? You all know the access clearing statement, right? So this clearing I was doing with everyone, because once you are afraid or you don't want to lose someone, and Cass was talking about that a while ago, once you don't want to lose someone, you are not free to do whatever you feel like it's right for you. And it's to be willing to lose everyone does not mean that you will lose them. It just gives you a freedom. And I have a son, the only one. I have only one child. And the whole of my life, I was afraid of losing him. And with this clearing statement, and I ran it for maybe 100 times a day, 3 days, 4 days, then I forgot. And always when this wild energy came up about, I'm afraid to lose them, I did this clearing again, so that you get rid of it, but you just have to use it. So what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can I and my body be to lose anyone in my life anytime with total ease? And everything that doesn't allow me that, can I destroy and uncreate that? Right and wrong, good and bad, put and poke, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And this helps not even for the fear that you lose him, like he will not be alive or he leaves you, but it works for everybody, even for the friends, even for the parents, even for anyone that you want to keep in your life. Because how much you can be yourself, how much you can really be yourself when you are afraid of losing someone. Or when you are afraid of losing someone, sometimes you first look into their head, what they would like you to be, and then you do what they want, what you think they want, so that you are never yourself. So I would say this clearing really, it helped me. I can imagine now, I really can imagine now that I lose everyone and everything, even my life, and I'm fine with that. And it was not the case. And I must say, was the biggest fear in my life, that I'm going to lose my son. And so if it happens, fine. We meet some other time. Yeah. So what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can I and my body be to lose anyone or everybody with total ease? And everything that doesn't allow me that, can I destroy and uncreate? Right and wrong, good and bad, poor and poor, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I really do use the clearings hundreds of times. If there is the energy, it is not enough once. I use it every day. Sometimes I use it 3 days in a row, and then it's getting better. You will feel that. And then about the expectations that you have from your husband about the child, what have you decided that happens when you have a child? What all the points of view, and are these points of view even yours? How much the society and everyone around you knows how it is going to be when you give the birth of the child, and what everything is going to change? What if your relationship can be totally different? You know that. Some people say, like, a good relationship, you have to be together, you have to have the same things in common, you have to love same things, you have to blah, 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 whatever. What if this is not the truth? What if you can create a great relationship with someone who has completely different hobbies, different style of life, whatever? And this is the second thing which helped me a lot, was in my relationship and in all the relationships I have now, it was do what works for you. Do what works. Usually we do the things which we are used to do or which we see the other people do, and we don't do what works for us. And so for me, for instance, I travel a lot. Cass, you travel a lot also. We have the same stuff in our relationship, I get, that we had to go through, because usually people say, when you have a partner, you should be home with him. And even the women, they think, if I have a partner and we have the family, the husband should be with us. Yeah, not always traveling somewhere and earning money and whatever. And so what if this is not the truth? What if your being is okay if you see your partner few hours a day, or sometimes you don't see him for a week, and then you have a wonderful day together? How many times people spend time together and they are not even together? They are sitting next to each other the whole of the life. What if you can make it different? And this is what I'm doing. I do what works. And I looked at my relationship and do the stuff and sometimes I try something. It's nice. What if the relationship was the game? It was something to play with, to see how it works. Sometimes I say, okay, I tried this. And I do the stuff, and I ask my partner to do something together, and it does not work the way I feel like I would like. So next day, I do it different. And this is the third thing which helped me a lot in the partnership, in the relationship, and that is the manipulation. And you remember, Cass, when you first told me on foundation, manipulate your partner. So I was like, oh shit, no, never. I will never manipulate people. It's something so bad and wrong, and you shall not use that. Since I started to use the manipulation, I'm the source of my relationship. I am the source, because you don't judge anyone, you don't judge yourself, you do what works, and you can say whatever is going to create more for you and for the both of you. This is what would help me a lot. And when I talk about the manipulation, so just to give the idea what it is, imagine, like, it is not that you say something which is not true. No. You say something which the other one wants to hear. And for instance, my husband, or I say my husband, he's my partner. When I manipulate him, he enjoys it, because I finally tell him what he wants to hear. And he's so happy to hear that. And imagine that, like I tell you the example, like I'm going to classes and I'm returning home, and sometimes I spend the 4 days weekend outside of the family, and he so much loves his family together, and it is not it's not easy for him that I'm leaving. And so imagine I come home, and I could come home the way that I come and say, oh my God, it was beautiful. I had such a good time. And he would be sitting there waiting for me, wishing that I acknowledge him, that I will ask him what he was doing and all this stuff. And I come and I am usually in the mood, it was great. And I wish I could tell him everything. But then I say, oh my gosh, what works for both of us? And I come and I say, I'm so happy to be home. I miss the home. I'm so happy I can be 2-3 days at home. How was your days? And I ask him how he was. And for this, when you do that, you have to be strong in yourself. You have to know who you are, and not to have the relationship so that someone fulfills you. This was my case. I had the relationships that would fulfill me so that I would be full, and not full, but not full, not empty. And so when they did not give me what I wanted, I didn't feel well. And so what if you look at it from the different side? Imagine now I tell you, you are the greatest gift. And please never change. Stay as you are, because like this you are perfect. Imagine, have you met many people who would look at you this way? No. And most of us, we would like that. So can you imagine what a partner you would be to not your partner, but anyone, if you look at them the way that they would like to see themselves? And they are like that, but they just don't acknowledge that. So we usually have lots of judgments. We usually want them to change. So what if we gave them what they don't give themselves, and then see what happens? And I know exactly what happens in my relationship when I do that. I come home, I say, hey, I'm so happy to be home. How was your days? Can you please tell me? And he's telling me a lot of stuff which I'm not really interested in, but I'm interested in him. And I want him to share stuff with me. And so he talks maybe for half an hour. And then he asks me, how was your days? And it's so, and before never happened. Before I came home and I said, oh, it was beautiful, it was great. And he was sitting there angry because he didn't get that. I was not caring for him. There was no caring for him. Caring is important. And he never asked me about how my days were. And when I started to talk about that, he always refused to hear that, because people want that we care for them. People want that we are interested in them. People are not interested in us. But if we are interested in people, and Gus know how to do that, they start to be interested in us also. Would you like to say something, Gus?
Yeah, absolutely. If we include them, also, because also, when you come back, especially from doing classes or participating in classes, you're like on this high. So they might not feel like what they have to tell will be at that same level. But if you ask them and completely, there'll be a moment of silence. I say a moment, but it might be more. It might not even be until the next day. But let them ask you. Let them ask you. And if they don't, that might not be where they are, but sooner or later they will. And we've got to, right? It's we're us, they're them, and then there's this third element that is our relationship. You know, it's a third element. So nurturing the relationship is also nurturing you. It's also because you're part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ladies, do you have any questions? Anything you would
Thank you so much for sharing this example of you and your partner. It was really, it was. Thank you so much for this.
And this part about willing to lose everything, right? Willing to lose everyone, you know? I've got to also remember that, because I'm enjoying being home so much and being with Marco, my husband. And then we have dinner outside and I just look at him and I'm like, oh gosh, I so enjoy being with you. You know, and that sort of, when you feel like, oh my goodness, I might, you know, what would happen if he's no longer here, then you do change. You get that needy thing and you go into a reduced version of yourself, actually, or you're just like walking on glass. But to enjoy, be willing to lose anything and everything, or to let it go, because you can't lose it, like you said, right? You don't lose it, because if you've had it, then it's part of you. And this, what came up for me, Lucie, was the idea of possessing our children, possessing our relationships, as opposed to having them and enjoying them. And I remember there was a clearing about that, about possessing versus having. Having is a choice. Possession is an obligation, is almost like a jail. So when you possess someone or something, then you have hold on to it, and you can't, you know, you've got to keep an eye on it and check the flight. What did you say? You check the flight?
Yeah. Yeah, but I can understand.
When that was going on, what came to me was with my fear, that is a pan. Because of my fear, I am also taking away his choice. No, I am sort of, it's energetic, it's very subtle. But when I have a certain fear, he gets it. And so he chooses something to make me feel comfortable. So, yeah.
Are you trying to control him? This is.
I feel he's trying to control me. I don't know, but maybe I'm trying to control it. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe it's both.
Yeah, both. Usually, both in relationship use control, but it's something that I heard some time ago, and I knew that. And this is the thing that helped me also a lot. That when somebody judges you, when somebody tells you you are not doing what he would like you to do or what you are supposed to do, so when they judge you, they want to control you. This is nothing else than just they want to control you, and they want to control you because they are afraid that they are going to lose you. So this always happens in my relationship when how many of you, when you do access stuff and you do the clearings and you go to the class, how many of you come home and then have the feeling that they are more judging around you, that you change, you become more of you, and as the energy they can perceive that, and they start to be, you know, like that. Yeah, they are, because it's something they don't know how to deal with that, so they try to get you to the place where you were before. And usually it works with the judgment, and we also use the judgment to control people. And so when my partner judges me, and he does, and he really does, he uses judgment, But when you look at it, the way that he uses it, so that he is afraid to lose me. He wants me to stay the same because he thinks that if I change, how the life is going to be like. And this is what I realized, that I am the one who is creating. So if he judges me, I pay no attention to that. I do nothing about that. I'm fine with that because I know this is the way he creates, and this is the way that he is afraid. I know at that time he's afraid to lose me. Nothing else. There's nothing else. Do you have something with it, Kath?
How do you respond to judgment?
When I'm fine with me, I'm laughing. I'm laughing, and he knows that it does not affect me. And he knows he's doing it because he wants to affect me. Yeah. But sometimes sometimes when he judges me, I just split down and I say, ooh. And at that time, you have to realize that he's doing it from that space. So usually he judges when he wants me to change something. And then it is about, there are certain things in the relationship when they are like pushing at you so that you change or blah, blah, blah. So then I usually say, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. I'm really terrible. I living with me, being a man, I would not love it because I know it's hard for you. I'm going for the weekends. I acknowledge, this is the manipulation. I give him what he wants to hear. So sometimes when he does this, so I say, yes, you're right. I'm not, I'm like that. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you. So usually this helped. And now, because he knows already this kind of manipulation, so he does not reflect to that. So I had to use bigger one. And the bigger one was because he's trying to make me be more home and do the stuff as he wants. But in a way, he would be always, in a way, not really. He creates from the judgment, so he will always have judgment. I know that. Always, little bit or something, he works like that. So last time, when we had the discussion about how wrong I am and how terrible life is when I'm leaving and when I look into my mobile and I don't pay attention to him and all that stuff which comes out from time to time. So I told him, hey, look, I know that this is not the life you like to live. And I feel sorry for you because I cannot give you what you want. So if you are not strong enough to break, please tell me and I'll do that for you. And since that time, it's quiet. And these are just, small things. Usually we have a nice life together. It's one from usually after I come from the class, when I am more of me. So he feels like, insecure, and he must get my energy. So this really helped, that I said, well, look, if you are unhappy, first, do something about that. I can't help it. And the second, if you are not strong enough to that, I will do that for you because I love you and I want you to have a nice life. This is how I do that in the relationship.
Cool. Manipulation. That's awesome. We also have a day on manipulation. And also it's a manipulation, but somehow it's true. Oh, wow. Should be willing to give it up for me. Well, I maybe love her too much to ask her to give up something that is creating her life, right? So it actually is a manipulation to bring them to the front line to declare if they're willing to diminish you in order to keep the relationship going, or if they're willing to acknowledge that it's a two-way street, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always a two-way street, yeah.
And it's also, you know, when somebody judges you, so if he didn't want to stay with you, he would leave. So what? Don't pay much attention to that. It's funny, yeah. And usually when you people judge you for what you think that you are. So if somebody tells me now that I'm not, I don't know, pretty or whatever, and I think I'm pretty, I don't even hear that. You know what I mean? People tell different stuff. They tell different stuff. So when they tell you something that you know somewhere in behind that you didn't acknowledge you for that, so they can get you. So what information does that give to you about you? And what if you could be a terrible girlfriend? What if you could be the worst girlfriend for your partner? You can be whoever. It's good, no problem. He always has a choice. And how many women do everything they can see in the eyes of the man, and he never even says thank you, because still not enough. And this is what I realized this week, that he will always, he does not judge me that much, but still sometimes. And I realized that he will always do that, because whatever I did in my life, even if I, you know, put aside the mobile when we are on vacation, still he finds something, because he works, he creates from that space. So why do I bother? No.
Yeah, and also, you know, being willing to acknowledge that sometimes judgments are just ways that people communicate, right?
Yeah.
That's he creates from that, you said, but it's the way people communicate. But it is also for them, it's not a negative thing; it's a communication thing.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, because maybe this way he says he is good, he's perfect.
Yeah, and also to ask, oh, manipulation. Oh, well, what would you suggest? Ask them, right? What would you suggest? And see what they say. Really? Do you think that? Well, what would you suggest? Do you have any suggestion? See how that shows up. Shubra, you were in a relationship with your two boys. Anything up for you?
Um, a very interesting conversation that was going on. And what I realized, what Lucy was also saying, the more your relationship with yourself improves, your reflection of relationship with your spouse or your kids, everything starts to improve. So, what if it was about you more than anything about the other person? Like, it's easier to see the reflection, like in the mirror, than what is going on inside. So as we start to heal and, start to nurture our relationship with ourselves, like you always say, you can see that. And the objectivity comes in the relationship with your husband or your children or anybody, with your body. I mean, everything we are related to. So, like, she got comfortable with herself, and I really loved that thing which she said that I can do it for you if you have a problem. It's like when you are willing to speak the worst fears and it's out in open, now there's no longer a charge. It's like, as a doctor, I always tell patients that they don't want to utter the word cancer. Now I have this. So I said, would you say you have cancer? Because if you're not acknowledging that, you will always have a fear, an unsaid fear of dying. So in relationships, I mean, it's already dying. What if you could just speak out? So there was a time, with my husband, that things were not so good. And I actually said that, it's okay. Let's, go, let's part ways. Let's have a divorce. I mean, without any charge. And it's not that because I would find somebody more interesting than you, but I would rather have me and, just get out from all this kind of mess. After that, we never had that conversation again. And things actually shifted tracks. So when we are willing to speak our worst fears without charge, things actually start to change. So yeah, I mean that was a very interesting thing, and it's like speaking your worst fears. Sometimes you realize that they were just in your head. Actually, it's not so. When you speak it out, the charge suddenly goes away. So yeah, I mean, thank you, Lucy. It was a very interesting conversation, and thanks, Priya, for being so vulnerable and bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing which came up, that over a period of time after using access tools, what I've realized is 98% of our thoughts are not ours, not 98% of our feelings are not ours. And how much of the fear or insecurity is she picking up of her partner? And just trying to be a space for him and actually justifying it with so many things what has happened in her life. I mean, what if she could explore that space, that what if actually all these are not hers, and what space is she trying to be for her partner and trying to take it on her and saying that, oh, it's mine and I'm trying to be clingy, I'm the insecure one. Is it even true? I'm not very sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That once I remember I probably have heard this before and left it like 10 years of marriage was a bumpy time for us in our marriage. And I was like, I'm getting a divorce. I'm not gonna be here. I don't want to be here. I'm not blah blah blah. And he went away for a couple of months and came back, went to Asia, and he said, look, the fact that we love one another is not in discussion. We know that. But we cannot die for this relationship. Freedom. Oh, freedom. And you said something, like that, Lucy, and Shubha brought it up. When you state the obvious, you actually open up possibilities that we may not be seeing because we've got this huge implant distractor in front of us, which may be a judgment, which may be a idea. Well, is he having an affair? Is he not home on time? Is he wanting to leave? Is he all that? The moment you state it out, then you open up different possibilities. And if you can say it without the charge, right? Without, like you said it, well, if you, I get that, absolutely. If you are not able to change it, then I'll do it for you. Boom, no charge. I love that.
You can say that only when you have no charge.
Right, exactly.
Say that
Absolutely.
just to do that, the energy never lies. And this reminds me on, I was at the relationship and different class in Budapest. And I was thinking that when I was going there, I knew, I thought that I can, lose anyone. I thought I am over that, I no problem with that. And I was at this class as a translator, and what was funny was that there were not many people. And this is, usually when people do access stuff, when you tell them, come to the class, we will do the access tools on money, full class, yeah? But if you say, come to do something about your relationship, everybody is scared. So thank you, ladies, for the courage to come, because most of us think that to do something about the relationship means I have to break and start a new one. Yeah. And so I came to that class, and there were not many people who were in the couple. And really, people didn't want to look at their relationships because they were afraid that they are going to lose them, because they were so tight and had those points of view and that. And I was going home. It was 2.5 a day class, and I was going home for the first of my life. I never felt like that. I had a feeling that I perceived my body as it was full of me. There was no empty space. Before, I did not know about that unless it was not filled in the class with me. I don't know what happened. And so I was coming home and I knew I'm me. There are no empty spaces. And as the energy works, so my partner, before he was in those small empty spaces, he was a part of me. And I could not imagine how I would be if he left or whatever, even if I was not thinking about that cognitively. But going home from this class, I knew there was no space for anyone in me at that moment. I could be with anyone in a relationship, partnership, whatever, but I was me. It was for the first time. And he was perceiving that. So when I came home, it was a big fight in our family because he knew that he did not know how to get there, to those empty spaces. He felt that he lost me completely. So he brought up the biggest stuff, to make me, to make me. And I did not pay attention to that. And I just left it alone. And it took maybe 2 weeks. And things changed so much. So what action can we take to be more of us today? And sometimes when I don't have the glass here, but sometimes I show at the classes when people don't know what it is to be more of you. So I show them the class where there is the water and when there is just a half of it. So usually we give that water out to someone so that we want him to fill in the glass. And when it does not come, we are unhappy. But when what are the things which you can fill in your glass so that you are full of you? What are those things? And so this is what I'm doing in my life every morning. What is it what I would like to do today? Not what other people want me to do. What is it what I enjoy today? And sometimes it can be I go for a walk. Sometimes, for instance, today it's Sunday. I went for a walk and I didn't cook lunch. I was not home at lunchtime. So I came 1 hour after lunch. My boyfriend was calling me, where are you? I was in the wood. It's no problem because my body needed to go for a walk. How many women would do that when it's Sunday lunchtime? Not being home for the family, doing stuff for them, But he knows how it is, so he was okay with that. And we are having party now. There are a lot of people coming into our house and he likes the family party. So what is it what fills up your glass so that you are more of you? And when you have you, then you don't need anyone to fill in you. And then anyone can stay as they are. Anyone can be who he is. And you don't want to change him then. And not only the partner, anyone, when you are full of you.
And that works not only just for women toward men, but also men toward women, Mr. VJ.
Yes, sorry, I forgot about the man here.
No. I mean, I can totally get. He's good with numbers and business, so he can definitely turn it around and see it from different sides of the coin. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So thank you. It's always such a lovely, lovely conversation, and I adore you. And
and it's like in the relationship perspective, I can say like we can have no form, no structure, and as well as being vulnerable and allowance, and also no judgments. Give the space to everybody so that like they let be their own energy, and we will be our own energy, and then they can be. See, in my relationship, like my wife don't understand access, and I am fully into access. Therefore, that's the difference. But still, we are um, um, like very vulnerable and allowance with each other. That I can assure.
Yeah.
One thing I also want to share that even for my family, like I'm the one, I do access. My husband is not much into it, though he listens when I ask him to give him some process, he gives. What is interesting is that when I do a class, suddenly that night when we are having a conversation or something after the baby sleeps or something, he he starts a topic which is just the same as what the class was. And I'm like, how do you know? We just had this thing today, and how do you know that it was this? And it's not once or twice, it's like multiple times.
I
It's
bet you should charge him for a class that he is attending, not being in the body there.
yes.
And I get, he's very perceptive, your husband. Nice choice. Yeah, very nice choice. Yeah. I don't think any of our partners actually are doing access, right? But they're choosing us. And so what choice are they doing, you know? It's like I don't like to drive, but I do like to go in the car with people who do drive. So maybe they don't like to do access, but they like to have more energy, space, and consciousness in their lives. I remember I said to my husband when I first started using access, I was like, listen, I'm going forward with this access stuff. I hope it doesn't draw, a line between us. And he took 3 seconds because he's fast. 1, 2, 3. Oh, are you kidding? I love having the resident psychic living with me. That was his response.
Yeah,
and again, I was like, okay, yeah.
and if I may ask you, since you have started access, can you perceive the change in our partners, in your partners? Even though they don't do access, they don't receive the processes or whatever, can you perceive the change they are choosing because of us, choosing more of us? I see it so much.
Yeah.
I second that. Absolutely. I mean, after 2 years of meeting Cass, my husband got to do bars with her. And she told, it took you 2 years. I said, oh my God, at least after 2 years he was here. So yeah, absolutely, I agree, Lucy. That although we are choosing, it's spilling all over because the ripples, and I'm so thankful for this class. Somewhere the relationship I had started to go into a wrongness because people said, oh, relationship in this reality, it's like this, it's like that. I mean, so much was said, but at the end of the day, we are in relationship with everything. I mean, including ourselves, of everything. So how can it be wrong? I mean, it's a very much a part of this reality, our reality, what we have chosen as an infinite being. So that got cleared today. Thank you, Lucy, for this lovely call. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you
coming.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful call, Lucy.
Yes. Where can we find more about Lucy?
Yeah, well, I have everything in Czech language only.
Up until now.
How do you know? Because today morning I was telling myself, you will be only in Czech Republic. You never go abroad with the classes. Stupid. Yeah. Yeah, I have a website in Czech language. I do classes in Czech language in Czech Republic, and so maybe we can meet in different access classes, as I'm translating a lot of classes. And anyway, we are energetically all the time. We are, together.
And maybe you'd be willing to be in relationship with the rest of the world and share your genius around the world more often.
Who knows?
VJ and I will invite you to do more online.
We can do something on business, but because business is a good topic also.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, thank you, Miss Lucy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.